Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our county commission meeting on the 31st day of January 2025. Still have a hard time saying 2025. We get ready for a pledge of allegiance and Michael Taylor.
Out the door.
Oh, Michael went out there? Okay. Ruth, would you please lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Okay. All right, at this time, we will go into our county commission will now meet as a board of equalization and review. Eddie, do we have anyone present this morning?
I haven't been notified of anyone to show up today.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll now motion to recess the Board of Equalization Review and reconvene at 9 o'clock on February the 6th, 2025.
Second.
Have a motion to second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That fulfills that. All right. I wanted to make a little statement here first. Today actually starts the budgeting process for the Fayette County Commission. We had our Board of Equalization review, and we'll do that throughout the month of February. We'll have budget presentations through February. As a matter of fact, we have 2 coming in later on today. And we'll have more going out through February, and in March, we actually start with the nitty-gritty. We have a lot of things that has risen in prices, whether it's medicine, food, gas, anything energy related has just increased to a point that it's really getting to be unbearable for our citizens. So at this point, I'm going to challenge the Fayette County Commission to come up with a way to reduce taxes for all Fayette County citizens this coming fiscal year. I think that there's several ways that we can do it. I did talk with Eddie this morning, and he actually has a letter that he's going to present to us. So I look forward to us as a body meeting that challenge and giving back to our people so that they can afford or help to afford for them to live.
It's important to note too, John, that we do max tax for regular taxes and excess taxes.
We are, I just got a new report from the state. We have the second highest tax rates in the state of West Virginia. One county higher than us has a school bond. So you take the school bond out, we're right there. We're second highest tax rate.
Thank you.
All right, so let's work together to make that happen. All right, so Eddie, while we're talking about that, come on up, and do you have anything or there?
And while she's doing that, we sent out 3,500 or so increase letters where property values have increased over the years. And this one right here has been doing the bulk of that. And that's why you don't have anybody right there for people. She's been, I find numbers on those letters, and she's getting them. I get a few, and another lady gets a few, but she's doing 95%.
Well, thank you. Doesn't surprise me. We know her mother is also a highly valued employee here.
You're pretty popular too. I bet you're real happy with it, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, it's not been too bad. I've had worse, so I can't complain at this moment. I haven't had anybody that was too upset with it.
Well, I mean, we can understand.
Right.
We live here too.
All right.
Well, I'm going to move that we approve the exonerations as presented by the assessor.
Second.
Okay, we have a proper motion and second on the floor. All those in favor? Aye.
What else do we have? Did we have any orders to combine or refunds?
I don't see, these are just regulars.
Well, that's all I saw there, but I saw another spread. Oh, that's different. That's what Angela gave us.
Thank you very much. All right, have a great day. All right, payroll,
Move to approve. February 7th, 25.
I'll second. Motion properly moved to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Vouchers and invoices.
I didn't have any questions this round.
The only question I had was on a large concrete bill, but after finding out that was for the bridge that we took care of. That was for all concrete. It was $98,837.10. But that was for the Russellville Bridge. So-
I move we approve them. Vouchers and
Second.
invoices.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on through. Prior meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, have a motion to second to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye. Did we have a state settlements? I didn't see them.
Still have them on the sixth,
Okay.
or was it the 12th, Wilbert?
6 and 9.
Okay.
All right, so Ms. Ruth,
So the first one was a board appointment for the NRGRDA.
So I wanted to make a motion that we appoint Tom Luises to the NRGRDA for our businessman and developer slot. Joe Ray has occupied the slot in the past and hasn't attended the last several meetings. So the board has asked that we appoint somebody else. Tom has served on the board as a commissioner, and I think he would do a good job representing Fayette County.
we had also before that, we had, what's the guy from over across the river? Can't think of his name. Who?
Not Steve, he was on the URA.
No, that's the big resort, had the big resort.
Oh, Arnold, Dave Arnold.
Dave Arnold,
Dave
yeah.
Arnold was on it.
Yeah. NRGRDA does ask for people who are business related, business minded to be on that. So I would second the,
Before we go to that, is the board well represented by the county?
I think so. I mean, I'm on it. And Heather Johnson is our other business person who's on. She does attend all of the meetings.
Where's she from? I mean,
She's Rick Johnson's wife, Rivers.
what I'm worried about, and this is my discussion, would be, you're from Fayette, you're living in Fayetteville, Tommy's living in Oak Hill, Rick Johnson lives in Oak Hill. Can we not diverse and maybe get some other members from other areas of our county that may have a stake?
Well, we've done that on a lot of our boards. I mean, if you know of other developers who might be interested in serving, you know, that.
I mean, I think that should be something of discussion that we should look at, that maybe that we're too top heavy in one area.
Well, I mean, like our planning commission, for example, is countywide. That has people from every from every part of the county.
Well, I mean,
Attention.
it is a point of discussion that we probably should think about.
Well, for now, we have a vacancy and I'm going to keep my motion on the floor.
okay, we have a motion that's properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
I
So you're opposed?
am opposed.
Okay. All right, I would encourage you to start making a list of people who are contractors or land developers, businessmen in other parts of the county.
Will do. Yes.
I've tried to do that and have been coming up blank.
I think
That
we
we're
can,
willing to serve.
we can get people from other parts of the county that would would enjoy doing that.
Next is the LRA, but they did not meet. Did they have a person in mind, a board appointment?
Well, I talked to Rick Johnson to see if he'd be willing to serve on it, because we need a businessman, developer, or businesswoman, a developer to replace Brian Helton.
Senator Brian.
Right, because he couldn't serve any longer after he became senator. So, Rick is willing to serve.
On the BZA.
He's
That
on,
may be he's on the board on the appeals that may,
how would that be a conflict?
if they develop a piece of property and had to go through he's already on the board. It may not be, but he is on.
He could abstain from a vote if that's an
Yeah.
issue. I mean, don't you think?
Right.
Lawyers, I mean, we have so much trouble populating these boards, and I understand your concern, Greg, and we advertise these vacancies usually on our website for quite some time, and oftentimes we have to just beg people to serve, and that's what we end up doing, so. Rick has always been willing to serve, and I thought he would be, because he just has a great knowledge of the county, and he's also a business owner. I think he would be an energetic participant, but that is your board, so if you have any problems with that one,
So the members on that board are diverse? Spread
Well,
out?
they are state, or one has to be like the county commission. One's like, he's the assessor, the county commission, one's a business owner, so the code didn't say anything about where they lived at, so they're actually like good job titles.
Well, I mean, this is designed by, and this is for the public knowledge, not ours. This is for public, and it's designed by position or background, where you're coming from representing agencies or groups.
Isn't Fire Chief, of Armstrong Creek?
No, he's beautification.
Okay,
He stepped down, and that's when Brad Helton took his position.
okay, he was on the
He
LRA
was on the LRA, but he just had a lot of commitments. So
and
he backed
down
out
and stepped down.
Shane stepped down,
Okay, so and that's when Senator Hilton
correct.
took that position before he was a senator.
and we needed Shannon more on the beautification because of his skill set, I think, too.
And we have a new meeting coming up that we have scheduled.
Yes, the chairman requested to have it this coming up Thursday,
Thank you.
after your guys. After.
Okay, so the LRA that was supposed to meet yesterday is gonna meet,
Sorry.
okay, so
Yeah.
not next month, that's good.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I mean, not a month from yesterday.
Right, yeah. They do have some.
That's what I was worried about, smarty pants.
Okay,
Okay, so, Rick is willing to serve. You know, if you want time to beat the bushes, I mean, I'm willing to give you time. It's just that committee needs to move pretty quickly.
But that is designed differently than the other one, and I think
little bit.
Rick would make a fine selection because he does represent.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and move that we appoint Rick Johnson to the LRA.
I second it.
okay, we have a motion properly moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Ruth,
So these are all there's orders from last time that weren't ready to sign too.
are these the commission appointments?
That would be.
There's some of the. Let's hold off on those.
There's one that needs to be voted on,
The
orders.
beautification.
Randy.
Some of the orders have some errors.
All right, so today it's Randy Haynes and
That's it.
is that it? Okay, so it's Randy Haynes.
Didn't we already appoint him last meeting?
He hadn't responded yet, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he didn't respond till Friday, till after the meeting. So I didn't know if he wanted to serve, so he did send his application, but Kevin Willett did resign, so we have a vacancy.
Okay.
And that's just a citizen at large, so
So we need to advertise that vacancy.
correct.
Okay, well, I move that we approve Randy Haynes for beautification and advertise the vacancy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion properly moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Community at large, is that what you said? Yes.
And then the last item is Allison's request for health department.
So, we got the hazmat settlement. Do you remember how much that was? It was over $100,000. It was like close to 150, wasn't it? For the Paint Creek
That
spill.
was 120, because we had,
Can't look it
fees
up
to
on
pay out
the
of or
wrong part,
something.
but sure.
yeah.
Well, we had talked about, distributing that money to the health department for water testing. And I'd like we have several things, a lot of people need water testing, it costs them over $30. The individual $30, it costs the health department actually more to do the water testing per person. But in addition to that, we have the whole Kanawha Valley issue going on, and I've asked, after we discussed it, that the health department test the water of Smithers Creek and a couple places and where it spills into the ponds to see the impact of the prison sewage issues. And in order to do that, they're gonna need some, I think, should have some funding from us. And since we had anticipated using this funding for water testing, I want to move that we go ahead and transfer that funding with earmark for water testing to the health department. Can we earmark it, lawyers?
Earmark the.
The settlement money, the hazmat spill settlement money, if we allocate it to the health department, can we earmark it, or how would it be best given to them, but to be sure that it's, spent that way? I mean, I trust Terry Harlan, but Terry Harlan might not always be the director.
The use of it's already restricted, I'm pretty sure, by the settlement. Do you remember?
I don't think it is.
I think it is. He's gonna
I
have to
thought it was
clean up.
for water testing and,
It just says cleanup is
yeah,
what Michael Callahan said, because that's what it,
Well, but remediation was already done, so that doesn't make sense to me.
he. would be the-
Because that was part of the reason we settled, is that remediation had been done and that came off the top. So, well, I guess we need to check, but assuming that it can go for water testing, which I think it can.
Well, I mean, that would be tough.
we did use part of it to test the water down for that.
Yeah, that was part of, that came off of the top, like, so the settlement was split between Kanawha County and Fayette County. And before it was split, the cost of the remediation and the testing came off the top. And then we split the difference, even though we had far more affected citizens, it was gonna cost us more to litigate it. With Kanawha County, and then nobody would have had anything, so we ended up having to settle with half. So you'd think it had happened there. All the fuss, so. Is there, maybe, let's just postpone this until later in the meeting. I think we can get that answer before the end of the meeting, and then we can deal with it. And on the last one, I was gonna ask that we postpone the REIT criteria to next meeting, because we just got this morning. I haven't seen it yet. The REIT criteria.
Oh, here's the spreadsheet.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm gonna move that we postpone that to the 6th to give us time to analyze it and think about it.
I'd second that.
Okay, we got a probably moved in second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That works. Brian.
Okay, Mr. Good.
It's something that drives you up there.
All right, thanks guys for being here. Listen to us go through this. Commissioner Fayette, this is Jerry.
Hello, Jerry.
He's marked forever. If you need to know where spigot is, a wire nut, anything in the world, this man has it under control. So I brought him here if you guys have to
Why don't
hard
you get him to
question.
come to the courthouse, actually?
That was gonna be my question.
I did it last year. Remember, last year was my first budget proposal. Jerry showed up. We all know what's up.
Before you knew how valuable he was, now.
Oh, no, I knew.
He
You
could
know, you
strong
know,
arm
day,
you.
you know, day one when you show up down there. And same thing with Ruth. Ruth asked me to do the budget proposal. I think it was just a couple days ago. And I said, nobody says no to Ruth, so we'll do it right now. So that's what we're here for. So I brought Jerry for backup and we can go through it. Kind of what you were saying too, John, about all the costs going up. you know, if you look at our budget, we worked hard not to raise line after line after line. That's not what we're doing. If what we're doing really is going for efficiency with our employees, spending the money correctly, going behind everybody, turning the lights off, everything you can possibly do down there to make it work. Last year alone, we went through the whole place. They've done crazy amount of painting instead of just replacing wood, making things look better. We all know what it means at that park for our community to show up down there and to and for people to notice that it looks better than it did the last time they were there. And that's our goal. And that's where we have our crew with Jerry and the guys down there, like they just keep going with it. So that's the lines in there. The one increase we looked at obviously is the medical increases for cost. That's really the line that's going to bump up between the park and the garage. Everything else is right in line with last year. I think the numbers are always a little bit kind of deceive you a little bit because a lot of that money is starting to get spent right now. We still have all the way through July to get those numbers back up to the proposed budget from last year. So if you see a number that's a lot lower than you would think, well, that's coming along. You know, a great example is like where we rent a big Boyd Cat lift thing for the Christmas lights. That bill's coming through right now. So that $2,400 is already spent. Then we have another allotment coming up in the spring. We're going to rent it again and get our money to help us out with some of the cabins and the roofing and stuff like that.
So what about the extra help? What is that?
Extra help's always been in there. We've used that before for part-time. Obviously, if you have a pool situation going on or you have to draw off and things like that, but that's a spot where we kept that number in there just in case we go through and had to get more help to work. We keep a really small crew. That way our labor costs we've gone down. So I had that number line in there and kept it the same just in case we had to pull and use other resources and more hands.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't include the FRN. Since they're not on our payroll anymore.
Your overtime is low, but what is the justification for overtime?
Well, every day you guys show up and you see the snow removal out there. You know, that's Jerry early in the mornings. He and I have been meeting at 5:30, I think. And this has been one of the harder years we've had to deal with when it comes to snow. Now, the cool thing about Jerry, he can either come in at 5 in the morning and work till whatever, or go like we've been doing a lot of 6 in the mornings till 4s or 2 or whatever, just to keep overhead low. So we're getting those 8 hours. He's just starting earlier. But some days, if that didn't work for his schedule, I'd want to keep that in there because I think he would deserve to be compensated. And Jerry, you guys, I mean, we've talked about this before. He just works with it. He's like, I'll be there at 5, then I'll leave at 8 hours later. So now what happens if his schedule didn't work and he had to do double? Well, that's part of it. I mean, Jerry's out there cleaning on Saturdays and we have stuff at the Memorial Building, such as basketball games, things like that. Or more importantly, our crew at the park, like your maintenance crew here at the courthouse, when the courthouse gets a day off because of storm, we're still working. There hasn't been a day since I took this job a year and a half ago, that park hasn't been open. We work no matter what, Christmas, New Year's, it does not matter. That gate opens, he's out there doing his thing in the morning. We keep our flow going. So I kept that overtime available just in case we want to compensate. Because one thing we wouldn't want to feel is to make him feel used and not compensated for what he does for the hours.
Jerry, I agree with Brian. I think you should be compensated if you work. And sometimes there are things out of our control. Mother Nature, she's gonna do what she does, and I understand that, and I appreciate your efforts and you keeping things clear for the county.
Brian, have you developed a list of projects that you want to tackle this year?
Yes, we have a meeting on Tuesday with the Region 4 John Tuggle Group again. That's that looming money that we've talked about, the Needles Eye Trail system. That's a big chunk system that we're doing. We've also approved a heating program for our rec hall. That's another big kind of project. You guys approved that last 2 meetings ago or whatever. So that's kind of what's on our list. And right now it's one of those things where we go and work on these buildings. I mean, a simple project right now is if you walk in the dining hall, all the ceiling tiles have been there since almost 22 years ago are being replaced. It's just because they were getting so bad looking and things like that. So we're tackling those smaller projects right now during this cold season after the Christmas lights, which was successful again because we have, that's just a huge community deal. And then now we're going into getting these things ready. Our first camp starts in May. So we're already moved on to the camp season, getting that stuff ready and moving forward with having things ready. Because every camp that shows up we keep getting great feedback of they noticed the improvements. And as a director, there's nothing better that makes you feel more happy if somebody actually noticed that you did something since they were here last time. So bigger projects would be stuff such as we're working on some of the lighting, like we talked about before in these shelters. When people show up now for a reunion, they don't just show up with some crock pots. They show up with their crock pot, air fryer, and 2 box fans. So all this electricity use is different. It's different than what it used to look like down there 20 years ago when these shelters were built. So instead of just parts and pieces, it's actually going through and using John, our electric guy down there, to really get these buildings ready. And then notice this, because even our camps, every camp that shows up, every kid shows up with a little stuffed animal, a pillow, and a box fan. And then they wonder why the breaker pops. Like, we have 36 box fans, so and those are not efficient to begin with. So those are some of the projects we've been working on. Another big one is DEP and septic. Our county, that area down there has been kind of overlooked, I believe, for some of the older septic systems and things like that. So we've had to upgrade simple things such as grease traps, little things that kind of off the radar of myself kind of coming into it. We've got a great relationship with him. He's came down 2 or 3 times and he shows us. So right now we've chalked off like 6 of the septic areas. We only had 1 permit really down there kind of overall. And you're looking at projects and designs from the 1950s with maps that don't even line up to close to what the real world is going on. So we kind of hit all those except for 1 right now, which is great. And we're hitting that one this spring. And he's nothing, those guys have been, they're not here to ding you with the permit system. They're here to make sure your stuff's right and get it ready. So we're lucky to have that relationship.
What about the memorial building?
Memorial building, we are on chart now for the next project is Sunny and Okie are getting our roof plan set up. And then we're gonna hit that big chunk of money there. And we also have the curtain project kind of after we get the number for what it takes to get that place watertight to get a good start on it. And then we'll start making the dressings look a little bit better. Like, I think, did you go down there for the wrestling tournaments? Or did you see any of that stuff that we did last weekend?
I just saw the pictures of it in
Yeah.
the press.
Yeah, it was, I mean, a great use of a great facility, except we just needed, I just wanted 3 things to make it look a little bit better on those photos, right? But it was cool to see people on the floors wrestling. We had 3 wrestling tournaments in the last 2 weekends. You had Wizards weekend down there doing falconry. You had stuff that our community needed happen. And those really, really cold days, and for those kids to be out and doing all that stuff, it's the perfect use for a building. Now we just need to fine tune. And I don't want to be wasteful with the money that you guys allotted for us. That's a lot of money. But we also got to get it watertight before I get to go inside, make everything look perfect. But that next step is getting the water system set up.
The rest of your watertight for the masonry on the other 3 sides is about 300,000. And then the porch is about 75. It bid out yesterday. So we're working on that.
And that's the numbers that we kind of thought, which is great because that's still going to leave us enough money, I believe, for some nicer stuff like that curtain concept and maybe the bathroom dress ups just a little bit. So if we keep those numbers right there.
On the bathroom dress.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is. It's scary to go in there as a young man. So.
Well, I've had one more question. You have extra help in the budget and you have contracted services. What's the difference?
Extra help we talked about what she asked, that would be more of the part-time help, or we get a pool line back if the pool happens, or we do a splash pad and things like that. We're going to need that extra help in there to work. So it's more of also a part-time concept. And then the contractor would be when I would get our tree guys show up. We had a tree guy last year show up. He helps us with the big monster trees. He's already, so if you look there, we've used half of that budget for. And then the next step, he comes back in the spring. We have 3 trees we want taken out. One's really close to the dining hall. And Bob did it last time, so we kind of get it going. He has a concept of the big trees he want taken down. He's just resourceful. And the cool thing about that too is he comes in, cuts our trees down, and then our crew takes it away. So it saves us money as a county. Nothing worse. Like, it'd be great to have them show up and take it all away. Man, they're so fast at it, and we take some time. But if we get it done, we use that wood for firewood for milling. We take it to the milling. We take a guy, he cuts it all down for us. We used that wood last year to replace our roof, to put other fit stuff up. So we actually can harvest our wood that we're using for that extra help line, or more important to that, like the maintenance slash timber line on that.
So contracted services pretty much in tradition would be just a timber guy.
Something that we probably shouldn't do ourselves, which
Correct.
is, if you
Well-
know me, I don't like to say that, because we've walked up to one tree. Jerry and I've walked up this one tree 3 times. I got the chainsaw and the helmet on, and I'm doing it. And then I say, no, I'm not doing it. We walk away.
Well, we don't want you doing it.
No, but we know it is like, but it's also, it's the park. That's our job. We get our stuff done. And it's hard sometimes to ask for that help, but we have that line for asking help.
I don't know, saying we don't want you to do it. We don't want you to do it if you're not certified to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to have certified people to drop large trees. of that nature.
He's the master. That's why we get him. He shows up quick and does it quick and is very efficient with his time. And he charges us a great rate to make it happen.
Jerry, not that you're not qualified. I said certified, not qualified.
Jerry's the one that backs me off. He's the one that's my voice of reason. He's like, let's not do it. I'm like,
You're in trouble.
I know. I know.
Something you said made me think of something. What I would like is something I would like to see you guys do in the next year is map out the park and map out where these things that only Jerry knows where they are.
We are.
And the memorial building, only Okie knows where they are, you know, and that way there's some legacy information there. And other people can refer to it.
Jerry's
And
got an awesome folder already. Everything that we're doing, like just simple things like when you fix a water line at a shelter that doesn't have a shutoff valve. I mean, nowadays we're gonna put a shutoff valve on there. So we get Jerry, he goes in, maps it out, shutoff valve gets put in. So not only you fix it, we're taking the next step to make it easier the next time, because this park, you have one major water line that comes in and it goes throughout everything, it goes out. The branches are just unknown. We dig until we find it.
I'd
So
like to see you work with one of our mapping folks to get it into our GIS or something like that, so it's, you know, if it makes sense.
especially with the septic stuff too,
Yeah.
the bigger
All of it.
projects we're talking about. Yeah.
And anything you have on the pool, I know we have the pool engineer.
Yeah.
River here. Just anything we have about anything down there, it would be nice to have documents to see what's up.
Absolutely.
What size is the water line that we have down there? What size?
Coming in,
The size of the water line we have coming in our source.
I'm not sure about the size that comes in our main line. Most of ours that run through the park.
2-inch lines?
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And every line that's been in there since 1950 is still there. They just dig another ditch and put it in there. So like when we go to our track it and to find it, we use a tracer detector type concept, and you'll pick up 3 or 4 different overlying lines. So it makes it a little bit tougher for your repair, a little tougher to get started on your project, but after we get it, we have it, and then Jerry's been mapping down what's good and what's not good.
You have good pressure, good water.
Yeah, we've actually had
Too much pressure.
too much pressure. We've been putting pressure regulators on stuff, so.
We release
It
every,
will blow lines out.
we have, well,
In the
every,
past year, it's starting to blow the
pop off.
off valves on our water heater.
It'll find the weakness.
Yeah.
200 pounds. So we have
Big
coming.
tolic couplings.
So Tanya is listening and said that if you guys get that mapped out, they can add it to 911, so then when people respond, it'll show up on the maps.
Awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Tanya. Good thinking.
If you guys can mark it, I can send my guys down there, we can take a GPS and give you GPS coordinates.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
We appreciate
Just let me
it.
know, if we can do it like steps or whatever, cause they go through the tag water line, cut wires, you know.
Yeah, that's a great. We
That would be
Shut
helpful.
offs or whatever you got, just, you know.
Have it documented, mapped, where we know what to do if, when we need.
Send them the GPS coordinates for everything, and they can get up there.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Chris.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Jack?
Got everything today except my typical honey voice. Do my best Tom Homan impersonation. Hopefully answer all your questions.
Morning, Jack.
Morning.
He has the special one.
There you go.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, it's Jack.
I was thinking extra.
I don't know why
It's
you guys are laughing about that. This is my first budget presentation, so please feel free to question and I'll do my best with it. I thought it would be good to write a summary up front. It's a pretty simple budget. My plans are to, with your all's permission, hire a deputy, emergency manager / planner. That's a position we formerly had. We had talked about it, back in the fall. And I felt like I needed a little bit more time to, get my head around emergency management. And, I've tried to ask the right questions. I have, some really good mentors. One happens to be in here today to talk to you today. My senpai, John McGinnis, and C.W. Sigmund have both given me a lot of time, and everybody in the community has tried to help me assimilate a lot of data and manage a fairly steep learning curve for this. I think by mid-year, I'll be able to direct and develop somebody else in that deputy position. So any questions on that? I've entered that in as a position, talking to the county administrator. We'd like to advertise that for no more and maybe under 40,000 with full benefits.
And that is included in your salary and wages
Yes, sir.
request.
It is. And let's see. Kept most everything at the same levels it was from last year. We had, mid-year change in management there. So it's, I would say this year's been atypical for budgets and operation, because a lot of it's been dedicated to me learning the position and being able to go and operate. So we left in typical line items from last year, extra help, overtime, and everything else. Down to travel, we kept that the same because my number for this year was right under $1,000. So we hired somebody in the spring or the summer. They would be going for a lot of travel, rounded out about $1,000. Training and education stayed the same. There's my number. Dues and subscriptions, everything like that came in. Our dues and subscriptions are fairly low. We pay for the EMC conference subscription. That's an annual due, but it works out. Their language is a subscription. So there's that, and let's see. Everything else has been fairly standard with last year. I upped the uniforms to 1,000. And we, at the end, I'd like to purchase a vehicle. We have right now 3 vehicles that we're using. One vehicle that is on our books that is, well, it's at the park, and it's going to be a more expensive fix than putting it back into use. So we've kind of deadlocked at that. We don't exactly know what we want to do with it, but that's something that we've been debating. Right now, we have 2 vehicles at over 100,000 miles, which is good for the use that we've gotten out of it. But I'd like to safeguard this and add another vehicle. We have our 2,500, which right now is doubling. The park's using that as well for an extra snowplow. It's a diesel. It's at 64,000 miles. I didn't climb in it today. See, it's 63 or 64,000. That truck will theoretically last us another 10 years if we keep up with the maintenance and use it as a weekly rather than a daily driver. So we need that truck to haul our larger generators if we were to have an emergency. That's what we would implement those with. It's overkill for some of the things that we have. We have some smaller generators that, it would be better to have a smaller SUV type vehicle to put those in with. So that's what we went with. price, and most for the dollar, ended up being the Jeep. So I've listed that in there with all the quotes that I got. Some things I thought would be different, but that ended up being, I think, the best for our needs. I also have two people there in mapping 911 that would probably be more comfortable driving a Jeep rather than if we bought another pickup or anything like that. Also, something I forgot about my position and the deputy position is we're both reimbursable from the emergency management performance grant. So I think it's good value.
So are you proposing for a new vehicle? I
Yes,
mean, and this is it in the capital expenses,
Yes, sir.
equipment? Okay. The other question is, you want to bring on a person, which is already included in the salary wages of employees, but your training and education is very low.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you can survive on the amount of money that you got listed for your training and education? And what are your required training that you have to do per year?
Well, thankfully, a lot of the training and education has come up and it's been no charge other than travel. Okay, so other than maybe our gas to it and maybe an overnight, we've been very lucky with that for mine. And I've used my education, which had to come fairly rapidly. I only came on in May, and I've gotten, let's see, I think I'm at 12 ICS classes now. The main four are 100, 200, 300, 400. And then you could say 800 are supplementary to that. Okay. We would put the deputy through that, of course, train them, plus probably HESEP and L2300, which all these are free, but L2300 is emergency operations center management. So if we activate our EOC, which is the classroom, right? If I go in the field, deputy can operate. Deputies in the field, I can operate. So
You're good with $2,500 for training.
I'm always good with taking more money, sir. I do, but that's
This is what you're gonna live with for a year.
for a year. And honestly, there's a lot that we'll have to see upon application here, because I gauged a lot of this on what my expenses were. And I've been in a lot of school, I've been in a lot of meetings, things like that, right? And if this holds true, then, it's a true number for that person. But man, mine was compressed, so.
Yes, sir.
Jack, can we go back to the autos for a second?
Yes, sir.
You said there are how many vehicles at the 911 center?
Right now, I have 13 model Tahoe. I have a 15 model Explorer and a 17 model Silverado 2500. And 911, Philip has a Tahoe. The Explorer was just recently brought back to us. And I drove it here one day through a code. So I'm not a big fan of it. I'd like to get it patched up, and I think 911 is probably gonna drive that. Okay. Again, it's a comfort, and yeah, it's just easier to maneuver. If I go, for instance, I've been at the planning summit past 2 days for EMC. I took my vehicle because we had the plow on the 2500. Otherwise, I would have taken the 2500 up there. But like I said, I think it's a better investment right now to go ahead and purchase one more vehicle for us and save that, because you guys are familiar with diesel and their operation. It's a long game, and I think that truck is going to last. It was a pretty smart purchase, and it's good for everything we need it for. But it's also a little unwieldy. It's a long bed. If it's a long bed, 4-door, it's a firefighter's truck, and it's built to carry everything they need. You know, a lot of situations we're into today, we don't necessarily need that there.
Okay, so are all the vehicles drivable by everyone that works there?
That Sorrento, I have not laid eyes on it, and I couldn't tell you if it's, at last we talked about it, it was not drivable because the fix was gonna be too expensive.
Is that the one that's at the park?
Yeah,
It needs to go.
yeah. It's one of those things, it's
It's a Sorrento.
yeah, it's a legacy.
What model would that be?
That is a 13, sir. Yeah.
It probably has run its course.
Yeah,
They looked at it, they recommended getting rid of it.
yeah, we sent it down there. But it's just one of those things. We probably, I think it was donated or there's some deal with that. It's not something I would ever recommend for you all to purchase.
And, isn't the old fire coordinator's vehicle there too?
It is.
And everyone can drive that?
No, sir. It's not in play.
Okay, is there a regulation that says we can't use it or?
We talked about it, the way it's titled and the way it was funded need to be reconciled. So right now it's not drivable. We're storing it. I will say it's probably the worst thing that you can do for those vehicles is park them and not drive them.
I think we talked about, or at least Ruth did, suggested that maybe the county could purchase it and like reimburse the levy for its value or something like that to reconcile the issue.
And what year is that?
I want to say it's 13, Commissioner, but it's either 13 or 14.
Does it have a lot of miles on it?
I don't think so.
The batteries are dead.
Battery's dead, tires are rotten. It needs driven, it needs out of there. And if something happens that we need that space for supplies, it's just, clogging that up and,
Okay.
and it's, it's adorned with, it's fire engine red,
Lights.
all of it. So,
It has lights. I mean, and you have to be certified to run lights.
Yeah.
You have to qualify and be certified.
yeah.
Any other questions, Mr. Brenneman, Mr.
That
Taylor?
that was I remember that vehicle sitting there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is something we have to take care of too. There's no good of that thing sitting there, taking up your space and not being functional.
Well, and let me clarify that to Commissioner, anytime they need something, we're gonna help. But it's just one of those things, I think it's just it's a clerical thing and it's one of those things that we need to get into service because it's a good vehicle. It'll be a good vehicle for a long time, I think, and I think they could use it. It's my opinion.
And when you say they, who is that?
Fire departments, anybody that has anything to do with that, for us to really, if we were gonna recoup that vehicle, we're probably gonna need to paint it. And then there's lighting issues and everything else, so it's a lot of sunken cost. It makes a little more sense to get it back on their side.
And I'm not doing this, not, just to clarify, this is us, we're all here.
Yes.
It's us. And we're gonna work together, and like you said, I like your answer. Your answer was, we are here for us.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy, Fayette County.
If we missed it.
Everything
it's a nice
else
clean
is
shirt.
approved. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I really like how you did the summary. Also, you anticipated my question about how you would divide labor with the deputy. I really appreciated that. Haven't had a chance to read it all yet, but I definitely.
That was a little bit over, and we'll probably target that before we advertise, if you guys give us permission. There's a few things that I know I can input on that will be a little more granular for that position.
Well, why don't you revise it and then submit it to us before we make decisions?
And there's one part that forgot to mention this morning, but during these budget hearings, we get to hear everybody's requests that they would like to make. We're gonna make sure first that everyone has their needed stuff to work with, and then we'll look at all extras after everyone in the courthouse has their basic needs covered. That's something we've always done, and that's what we'll continue to do. So even though they're asking for stuff, it doesn't mean that they're all gonna get it. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. But Jack, thank you. Your presentation was on spot as I knew it would be.
Yeah, good job.
Next time I'll bring my.
Okay,
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, sir.
all right. Firemen's Association request to create a fire prevention unit. Who's talking? I didn't see John back. How you doing?
Doing good, sir. How you doing?
Good. You're getting praised. We didn't know you were gonna get that today.
No, that's all right. We touched base with this back in October. And there was supposed to be some meetings set up between myself, your all's attorney and the fire marshal's office, which never happened. And so that's why we're here again today. We would still, again, like to start this fire prevention unit, which would more benefit the association, all the fire departments, and the citizens of this county. We have several things broke down. I made you all copies. There's three. Perfect. To review and look at. I also have attached. The association had a chiefs meeting last night, and Josh had all the chiefs sign MOU, so I have their signatures to support this unit as well. Like I said briefly in October, you know, you've always said that we need more grants and we need more funding, and this is one of the steps that we need for that. Right now at the training center, we're limited on what we can do. When the funding stopped 2 years ago, okay, you all just not only cut the training center, but you cut all of our special operations training as far as rope training, confined space, hazardous material, and most importantly, our classrooms. And so that's a big thing. But there's several other things that we would like to do. And I know Jack can vouch for this because we've already went out there and started clearing out some space for him. But our hazardous material decon unit, which is a state response vehicle that sits out in the parking lot there, we would like to move it down to the center as well, where we can do more training with that and be more versatile when it comes for a response.
What is a decon unit?
It's a decontamination. So anytime there's a hazardous material incident, you have several different factors that play into play. Okay, you have an awareness level, an operations level, and a technician level. Okay, if you look at that, our hazmat team is made up of 22 technicians throughout this county. One of our instructors for a hazardous material team is Philip Fout back there, and our crew leader is Chief Shannon Eastep. We have a lot of equipment that's still at the 911 center, and we're in the process of moving stuff down to our storage containers at the training center, but we got held up because of the weather. But that's one of the things that we would like to move down there, as well as our other tactical units, as well as reaching out more in the public with fire prevention, smoke detectors, and so on. We all know that truck out there at the 911 center takes up a lot of space. The previous director, Mr. Walker, had got grants for a lot of hazardous material equipment that we did not even know what it was or where it was at until just here recently. And we found a lot of equipment up there that we actually need to go through, get on that truck where we can actually operate it, because a lot of the equipment that's on the truck now is outdated. Okay, and that was a breakdown of communications from our previous director and our association, because we did not know what all was there until just here recently. So that's going to play a big part in this as well. But as far as the other special operations unit, you know, anytime we do training, we have to go to different locations because we're limited at this training center site right now. A lot of our training at the center right now, concepts more or less, handles everything with live burns, everything fire related. We've been doing more and more hazardous material drills that we can, but we're still limited because of the equipment and the classrooms. So that's something we would like to look forward to as well. But it all starts with you all. You all have to support this before we can move forward with the fire commission.
So let me ask you this, you touched on the hazmat. What's the advantage of us, the county, taking care of hazmat rather than contracting out, say, to Evergreen or someone like that? What's your advantage?
Philip, this is his expertise. I'll let him talk to you on that, on the hazardous material part.
So the quicker the response, the better the
Should I
outcome.
get you to come up? So wait, people on the internet can hear you that are listening.
Sure.
The quicker the response, the better the outcome for the environment. Yes, there are contractors, the Evergreen, they can do certain things. But for a large specialty contractor to respond to, say, an incident on the turnpike, zone 19, the closest one would be Washington, PA, if that crew is available. So you're looking at 5, 6, 7 hours of a response time to come down and stop that leak. Where we've got trained hazmat technicians, and if we've got the equipment to do so and respond more rapidly, we may not be able to make it perfect, but we can stop it, slow it down, and make things a whole lot better. That's what we always train is make it better, don't make it worse. So if you can slow those things down, that would be the advantage of us being able to utilize that equipment.
Did you guys respond to Paint Creek?
We did not.
That's cool.
I was there with Oak Hill for the initial response. The closest team at that time was Charleston Fire. They come up, help mitigate the leak and stuff before the cleanup crews come in. With that being said, the Charleston Fire Department, one of their hazmat leaders is also on our team. All the techs at Charleston Fire Department that are also Fayette County firefighters are part of our team as well too. So that helps us spread out because there's several now. I think we have 11 in the valley and the rest is up here on the plateau. So that helps coordinate a lot of things, but having the truck being fully equipped and us being able to train on it at the center is more versatile where we can go more directions and more people can train on it and operate it.
So you're not just speaking of only accidents that may occur on the highway that may dump hazardous material. You're talking about maybe some plants that may be in bordering counties that would directly affect our county.
Yes, and this.
They don't have any hazardous material there, do they?
No. And one thing that I'm gonna let you all be aware of that you probably don't know, all of our fire chiefs in this county through the association has signed a statewide mutual aid agreement, okay? Which means at any given time, any of our departments in Fayette County can go anywhere in the state. And all of our chiefs signed that and it's on file with the state fire marshal's office. So that truck has been used down in Mercer County over the last year. So if it's called this afternoon, we might have to take it to Parkersburg. We might have to take it to Charleston, but we definitely need to do more training on it and get it equipped with the new equipment and it's in the boxes out at the center as soon as this weather breaks.
Where's it? Is it housed at the training center now?
No, it's at the 911 center. The big white truck sitting in the middle of the parking lot that takes up half of Jack's one whole side.
Knocking holes in the parking space.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about the white truck. Now there's another red truck inside.
Yes, that is the Tahoe that was bought through fire levy funds, but is titled to the commission. We would like to have that transferred to the association where our vice president and president that's using their own vehicle now could use, because I know here Josh has been going over fit testing for our face pieces throughout the county using his own personal truck and his own fuel. By us getting batteries and tires in that vehicle could be used for that, as well as providing manpower if we'd have to go out on one of these special operations calls as well. Everyone that drives our emergency vehicles has to go through emergency vehicle class. And those are all in files with every chief for every department. You cannot get one of those seats unless you pass one of those classes.
That would be the the certification
Yes.
to run lights, to
Yes.
run emergency.
Yes.
John, when we received the information where Josh put in the request for the meeting,
Mhm.
I started doing some research online. And I asked what a fire prevention unit is in West Virginia.
Yes.
And it gave me a thing that it reports with the state fire marshal that a person can go out and inspect buildings to make sure that they're good for fire safety, report back to the fire marshal, write citations if they have boxes stacked too high to the ceiling for the sprinkler system to work. I know that there used to be one in Raleigh County, because when I ran a bunch of the retail stores, they used to come and visit us right at Christmas time, when everything was coming in. We had all these boxes. So is that what this fire prevention person is going to be doing?
We're not gonna be writing any tickets or citations, okay? You have to go through some more formal training through the state fire marshal to become a assistant fire marshal in training as far as that. Now, there is several of us in that county that hold this certification. Myself being one of them. However, this would give us more opportunity that if Chief Vernon gets some calls on some ladies needing some smoke detectors or have questions about that, this is one of those things that can be used in all of his area as well as all of the county. Jefferson County and Berkeley County started this several years ago, and I've talked to their chiefs and everything, how they do it. And they had very much success with it, and you all can call the fire marshal's office and talk to Chief Bailey about that, or I can give you their chief's numbers in Berkeley and Jefferson County as well. We have more or less just adopted what they were doing, which is, doing what we're doing now as far as individual departments during fire prevention week, but we want to do it year round. We just applied through a grant through Nicholas County, that if we get it, it's $50,000 worth of smoke detectors. And all my departments over there would distribute those at no cost. So that's one of those things that, that we would like to do here, but we have, several things going as far as grants. Right now, like I said, we got a couple earmarks last year for our special operations units. That money hasn't been allotted yet, but we were awarded 3 side-by-sides. Part of that is we're developing a emergency vehicle driving class just for our fire departments for side-by-sides, which we'll train them on to operate them correctly at our training facility.
Yeah, it can be dangerous. You don't know how to run one.
Yes.
They can be very dangerous. This body represents Fayette County. It
Yes.
represents the people of Fayette County. We make decisions for the people of Fayette County. Tell this body, tell the people of Fayette County why a fire prevention center would benefit them.
Well, for one, it's going to ensure the community by, we love social media, and I hate to say this, but my sister will take 5,000 pictures every 2 seconds every time we train.
I know
Okay.
your sisters.
Yes, I know. Okay, I will say that.
Who does?
However,
She's a
okay.
She's a
one
good
thing-
person. by the
Yes,
way.
but I will say this.
And you'll recognize her voice from
Yeah, from
Down
Oak
away.
Hill. But with that being said, she has opened the doors for our training facility throughout the whole country to let everybody know what we're doing. Some of her pictures ended up on Fire Rescue One magazine that was a publication nationwide. Okay, it also gave Drager, who manufactured our burn building, more recognition, and they've sold more units because of that. But it's going to allow the citizens of Fayette County to understand what we do and what we have to offer, not just for first responders, but for the whole community. And I'm not saying Fayette County, but yes, you know, when we can sit there and say, all right, we can come to your house and help you put up smoke detectors in the correct places. Okay, a lot of people put up CO detectors and they put them in the wrong spots. They want to put them high when they should be low. The normal citizen might not understand that, but through this prevention unit, we can send out qualified people throughout the county and explain and teach the citizens of this county what we have to offer and what's going to benefit them.
So you mentioned, the aesthetics of it. It looks
Yes.
good. Is there any financial benefit?
It is, right now, we just went through an ISO evaluation. Some chiefs got some response back yesterday, but the majority of them have not. I do see a decrease coming in insurance through homeowners, because of the facility there. And if we get more and more, especially with the classrooms, it's going to benefit more and continue to drop homeowners insurances.
So insurance are required to insure homes, right? Would that be correct? They were required in California, they're required to have insurance on their homes, and they had insurance and they lost other homes and they're going to be insured and everybody's going to get everything back. I don't agree. They dropped insurance. A lot of those homeowners out there have no insurance. It was because the insurance companies didn't want to take the liability.
Yes.
Insurance is a risk. It's a mitigation of risk. And if the risk is too high, this is to the people of Fayette County right now. If the risk is too high, people will pull out. They don't have to insure you. There's no law says an insurance company has to insure your home. You can shop your insurance and get a good rate. They want to, but they want to have assurances that if a catastrophe, and we will all agree, it is a catastrophe in California right now, that if it occurs, we have mitigated those circumstances and we can limit the damage. Would you agree that this fire prevention center would mitigate some of that?
Oh, yes, I agree, you know, and I'm gonna throw out an incident right now that, you know, the incident that happened last year in the gorge. Okay, we had a massive fire. Hey, Chief Vernon's main department was there, but for 2 whole days, he needed a lot of resources. Okay, and a lot of that resources comes back to our training and our mutual aid training that we trained together. And that's why we didn't lose not one piece of property out there. That was very beneficial because of our cross training and knowing what we needed to do to stop that fire.
I believe also we as a commission authorized and paid for helicopters coming in and dropping water to help control that fire too, especially when it was going straight up a hillside.
But we saved millions and millions of dollars out there.
And when you say you're talking about Fayette County Fire, Fayette County
No, it
Emergency
wasn't the
Preparedness.
park. They did all the work.
Yeah.
Our firefighters did all the work.
That's what I'm saying. Our emergency preparedness team, our firefighters, our people. I agree with you, Ms. Taylor, 100%. It wasn't the US government. that
They
did
were
it.
meeting in Glen Jean while the fire was
Yeah.
in the gorge.
And that's just one example. You know, right now, our special operations teams are on standby for all the flooding that's going on. And we could be dispersed through 3 counties in a matter of minutes and have enough manpower where we can strategically send teams to different locations and still manage all 3 incidents. Was
it this fall that the Oak Hill response team went to Princeton or Bluefield?
Yeah, it was
Swiftwater.
down at
Swiftwater.
Athens,
Yeah,
right behind Pikeview High School.
and they were able to do something that no one else could do.
Yes, Josh was part of he was on the boat.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were there all night. I mean, it was people getting hurt. I mean,
And Jack can tell you the past couple of days, myself and CW Sigmund from Kanawha County, we've been watching this storm. We pre-planned, so we've got everything in place. where we could get enough teams throughout 3 different counties and still operate, so.
I got one more thing I want to ask.
Mhm.
What type of training would exist on that training fire prevention center if
Mhm.
we supported this? What type of training would you do?
Yeah, well, we'd start with everything from fire department operations to specific fire safety and fire prevention. The installation of smoke detectors and CO detectors. Whatever other specific trainings that somebody might ask for. We have enough resources through all of our instructors that if one of us couldn't teach it, we can reach out to have somebody else that can come in and teach it. But it varies because the broad scope of emergency services is changing every day. And, you know, we might be specializing on Swiftwater right now, but at 4 o'clock, you know, there's a hazardous material leak at one of the PSD plants for chlorine. So things like that.
Well, I don't think you understand what I'm getting at. So we have specialized units
Mhm.
that have to train in specialized events.
Yes.
So we have in our gorge,
Mhm.
we have Swiftwater Rescue, correct?
Mhm.
We have rope rescue.
Mhm.
We have, what else? What else do we do? You guys, I've drawn out your experiences. What else have we taken care of? Has there been any rail accident maybe?
Oh, yeah, we've had several rail derailments in the valley that we've responded to. We've had several ATV side-by-side wrecks, even with entrapments in the middle of the woods that we've taken care of. Out of the 16 fire departments right now, 12 of those fire departments have side-by-sides to get to different locations. That's part of one of our trainings.
Chlorine leak at the water plant involves you.
Yes.
Speak up, what was that?
Chlorine leak at
leak.
the water plant involves you.
Chlorine leak at the water
Yes.
plant in Falls View and you guys responded?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what my point, I guess, is we have a lot of specialized things that we have to
Yes.
deal with that could go wrong. We have to be proactive rather than reactive.
Right.
I mean, we're gonna react. We're gonna react, but how do we react? Do we react with skill and precision?
Yeah.
Or do we walk around looking at each other and going, oh crap, what do we do now?
And it comes back to a little bit ago, what you asked about the hazmat team. If we don't do these special operations trainings, okay, our citizen in Fayette County is gonna be waiting on a team to come from Charleston, gonna be coming from Princeton, gonna be coming from somewhere else in the state that specializes in that. People don't understand that we have 420 firefighters in this county. Out of those 420, you know, we have 100 that's trained in all aspects of special operations. And minimizing that response is just tremendous, because if not, you're just sitting there waiting, you know, and we don't want that to happen in Fayette County.
So let me sum it up. You saying that this fire prevention center could possibly, if we follow through and do our due diligence, we could train in rail rescue.
Mhm.
We could mitigate high rope rescue. If someone would get in the gorge and be stranded on a ledge that's a 30-foot drop behind them, or and you guys are trained to go to get them.
Yes.
And you follow code to do that, because I understand that there's a quite a strict code in how you guys have
Yes.
to rig your equipment with redundancy and all that. And then you can take care of ATV accidents that roll over, which we are seeing more and more of these ATVs that cost thousands of dollars. I asked a friend one time, he said, this thing will do 70 miles an hour in the woods. And I said, who wants to do 70 miles an hour in the woods? That is suicide. But yet they can do that. But you guys can take care of that. You can take care of chemical spills that may endanger the lives of individuals.
Right now, we have a railroad prop set up at the training center with one rail car already in place. Just back in October, several of the technicians from Fayette County, as well as Charleston's hazmat team, conducted drills there, which we simulated 4 different drills, 4 different scenarios that we put in our Class A suits and went through the whole process. So that is very beneficial.
Okay, we are back live now. Before we had a couple of electrical outages and, we lost our internet connection, so we went on a break so that we could get everything back up and running. Still at the podium is, John, and Josh talking to us about, variety of things, so.
I'd like to bring up, a bunch of these big companies in the areas, they see the benefit of, our team up here and what as a fire association we do. They're donating rail cars to us to train with. They're donating towers from where they're putting up the new train at Hawks Nest, so we can set it up there to do tram rescue, train on it. I think it's gonna be one of the only ones.
Yes, in this East Coast.
Yeah, that does that. I mean, and we're not having to pay for the material, they're donating it to us to train with. And one more thing I'd like to bring up is, we're trying to establish this fire prevention unit. And a vast majority of the citizens of Fayette County on the last election voted for this fire prevention unit. If you read the call to levy, I mean, it's, they voted for it. So when it comes down to trying to get the fire prevention unit approved.
How much does a rail car cost?
Either.
A lot.
I would say, yeah.
More than Buick.
Yeah, 200 to 400,000, something like that, and the company just gave it to you.
Gave us 3. We have 2 more sitting at Bell at the rail station down there, just waiting for us to get approved to come up. That didn't cost us anything. And Philip can elaborate if you need. We've got one on the rails now, then we're going to simulate one on its side, where we can simulate several drills and how to stop leaks on that aspect of it. We were awarded a grant from CSX to build platforms and stairwells and stuff for us to access at the other side just for training purposes.
Interesting. Interesting. Of all the fire departments in the county, do all of them have representation on these swift water, road rescue, hazmat? Is every one of the fire departments represented?
No, there's a couple of departments that's not on any of the teams. And a lot of that is, number one, is they're so far away. Meadow Bridge, for instance, that they're not involved in any of our special operations unit. However, they are a key part of our water shuttles, which if we have to open a tanker task force, if we have to shuttle water throughout, theirs is one of the main ones that they specialize in that aspect of it. So each department has its neat little cliques to help our operations throughout the county. But just these special operations units, as far as water and hazmat, confined space, stuff like that. No, I think all but 3 is part of the teams, but 3. So, and we have one going on right now that's active. So I'll let Josh finish up, and that way we can get moving throughout the county.
You have an acting.
Yes, we have an active call going on right now at PAX. So,
Well, to sum it up, what are you asking for? What you asking for? What are we here for?
the first step is a support letter to the State Fire Commission for us to start this unit. That has to be the first step to get acknowledged through the Fire Commission, through the Fire Marshal's office.
Commissioner Taylor?
I don't have any more questions right now.
Okay, Michael?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, but at this time, I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to seek legal advice.
Second.
Okay, going into executive session at 10:31. Okay, we just come out of executive sessions. No decisions was made. I do have one question, John, since you're back. The hazmat truck that's at the 911 center,
Yes, sir.
is that a state-owned truck or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do we have anyone authorized to move that truck?
Yes, we have several people on the team itself that are qualified and certified to drive it. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to allow the hazmat truck to be moved to the training property when you folks are ready for it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd also like to make a motion that the Tahoe gets transferred to the Fayetteville Fire Department.
Is that gonna be a problem?
Yeah, we don't have any place to put it.
I
All
thought,
bays are full.
you had a spot for it.
Well, so here's what. If we transfer it to a fire, and it probably doesn't matter which. If we to a municipal fire department. We don't have to advertise it, we don't have to go through all those machinations, and also. The fire levy, the fact that it was bought with fire levy funds is not a problem either, so we're just. So I guess what we would look to you guys for is a recommendation of which fire department could best house that vehicle, because we don't want it to rot. It's too specialized, I think, to repurpose for us. Is there somebody who would need it? I guess we probably don't even have to do it. Well, we would have to do it to a municipality. Would we? Could we do it to a county fire?
To the what?
A county fire department? Like a volunteer fire department is not in a municipality?
Possibly, there is a provision in there for nonprofits, but I don't have it off the top of my head, so that's a possibility that it could be transferred to a nonprofit. But volunteer fire
I'd
department.
like to be transferred to any governmental unit and even the volunteer fire department or governmental.
It would, I believe so, I mean, I agree, the only hangup that I have is people get swirled, certain governmental
Auditors.
bodies get squirrely as to whether volunteer fire departments are governmental bodies or not. So like, there's like, for example, like the Ethics Act, for example, doesn't look at volunteer fire departments as a public official. But other laws do, so it's cleaner to do it to a municipality one, there's no question on that. But there's probably enough room in the statute that permits a transfer that would encompass volunteer fire.
What about Montgomery? I wonder about Montgomery.
Commissioner McGinnis?
Could we do this? Could we go ahead and put new tires and a battery on it, on that? And then the association come back to you all the next meeting with a location for that to be moved to?
I don't have a problem with
I
that.
don't have no problem with that.
No, the park could probably do that.
Yeah.
If we got it towed down there.
Yeah, the park could throw the tires on there and
That would give us time to
Throw a
talk
battery in
to
it.
each chief and see who has room for it and go that way.
I would say if it needs more than tires and a battery, we might have to, look at that.
We got a good mechanic here that.
But, well, But we do have, the park does tires and batteries
Yes.
for our.
If they can do that, then we'll get you all a location at the next meeting.
Okay, that's February 6th. So, okay, cause I think we're all inclined to. Have somebody qualified make use of that truck. It's just a matter of the formality of getting it transferred.
Okay.
And Michael, in the meantime, could you just
I'll verify
the scope of prioritize municipalities, please? And just because, every auditor has a different opinion, like every
Right.
lawyer has a different opinion, so it's easier.
so I will withdraw that motion until we have found a home for it.
Okay, and Ruth, can you
we've authorized,
Talking to
we
Brian
need to
about making
authorize
sure
that
that
we will
truck gets down to
Yeah,
the park
take,
Yeah,
for
we'll
tires
take
and
care of it.
batteries.
we'll take care of, we'll put it in operating order. And if you would be willing to help, we would appreciate it.
Also,
The volunteer fire departments are specifically covered in the statute, for the transfer of property, so it can be any volunteer fire department.
Okay,
On the county West Virginia Code 733 specifically references. Volunteer fire departments as being subject to receiving the disposition of county property, so
That's
any,
good.
any volunteer fire.
so come to us with your recommendations.
Yeah.
please.
all right, the rail car. You state you have 2 more rail cars to be moved.
Yes, sir.
Please make sure that you get a quote on moving those rail cars. Because that's important to have.
You want the quote as two together or separate? Because it'll probably take, 2 days each. Do you want that one bill as being moved together or separated?
Probably together. That way we're not dealing with 2 separate processes. However, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to reimburse the $17,000 that they spent on moving the other rail car.
I second the motion.
I just want to make a comment before we vote. It's those types of expenses, though, that are those big dollar expenses that really need to be vetted through us first.
Right.
I know Smithers needed an HVAC, but for Pete's sake, just let us know. I mean, they were able to call when we hesitated for a minute, but they didn't call in advance and say, we need an HVAC. Just give somebody a heads up so we can at least, while we can't vote, we can at least find out if somebody objects. And then we can have an emergency meeting if we have to or something, there are ways we can deal with stuff like that, but I'm not gonna look favorably upon any high dollar extraordinary expenses that are coming in. So what are you wanting to reimburse that out of? Because the fire levy, I would have a problem with it, because it would
Let's
have
do
to
it
be
out
out of general county or
Yeah,
something.
general county.
General county.
Okay, all right.
So we have a proper motion and second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passed. All right, Allison, I'll let you do the next part. Or do you
So-
want to have Michael help you?
Well, we basically got some legal advice on the fire prevention unit, and I think that the genesis of it is a fire prevention unit, while it, may accomplish some things, a fire prevention unit is very limited in the scope of its mission in the state code. And what you really want is funding for a fire training center. It's not, that the fire prevention unit sounds to me like a means to an end. I think if you had your fire training center, you wouldn't need a fire prevention unit. And if I were advising you, I would advise you to find something that is not going to restrict you, funding that is not going to restrict you in what you want to do down there. And I think the fire levy would restrict you even if you got access to those funds, and I'm still resistant to that for the reasons I've stated in the past. But even if we were able to get funding in some other way, if you were able to get a grant, if you were able to write up this concept, get this concept that you wrote up funded as it is, then you're not going to have all the restrictions that you would otherwise have and with other types of funding. Especially through us and especially through the levy. So I think, and John made a suggestion, and I think we all like the idea of getting some heads together, small number of heads together at the table. And mine is going to be the commission head. They talked me into it. And I think, you know, at least with me, if there's a legal concern, I'll recognize it, and our lawyer would be there too. But a couple of you to figure this out, because I don't think that there's any resistance on this commission to you having that fire training center. It's a matter of how we get there, and I have some ideas. So I think I'm gonna, based on legal advice, move to postpone our final decision on your proposal and on its terms to the 6th. So it'll be made before the fire commission meets. Our lawyer's already talked with the deputy fire marshal, and he has said that he can schedule your appearance on the 7th, because we have a commission meeting that day. And in the meantime, this small group, and I've asked specifically if Chief Vernon, you would participate in it. But, and whoever else you all choose, will meet and try to hammer out some ideas, and then the commission will make some decisions based on what we come up with.
I'm glad we participate, but I think we have other people in the association that are much more familiar with the running and that type of thing, but I'll be glad to participate also. We just have our principal people.
I wouldn't presume to know who knows the most about anything, but I feel like some of the questions I have are the types of questions that you would understand based on your background. You know, your government service and stuff, so that's kind of where I'm coming from there too. I mean, you're not only a fire chief to me, but you have that state background that, you know, would help me in this
I
context.
think the other people, well, they have to be up to the county association.
I agree. I mean, John and Josh have been very involved in it. I mean, I was thinking in terms of things like what I needed, and then you guys would need to decide what you need to bring to the table.
I think Ms. Taylor and the commission's position is, we don't want 50 people in here. We don't need 50 firemen in here to do this, but we do need some representatives. And it's not a number. It's not like 1 or 2 or 3, but it's something to be efficient. And you guys are business wise, y'all understand that we want it to function, not be a chaos. He said, she said. We want it to actually solve problems and to get where we want to be. And get there without legal ramifications or something that's going to hit us 3 months down the road or 3 years down the road. That we've got together, we're getting the same, we all want to get to where we want to be. Just got to figure out how to get there and everybody be on the same page. Would that be something that would be acceptable to the Firefighters Association?
We'll talk again. This,
It's going to be able to give a face-to-face with, everybody can voice their concerns. It's not 2 groups talking separately and then trying to come together at one time. You'll come out with a unified decision.
It'll have to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Third, fourth, or fifth is what
Yes.
we're looking at needed, because we want it to be before the 6th, so if decisions are made ultimately that require state fire commission approval, the state fire commission can be notified, you know, on the 6th, and they can take actions. I know they're meeting on the 6th and the 7th. And so I talked to Deputy Chief Rodney Bailey about that, and he said, you know, they're meeting the 6th or the 7th, so like if a decision ideally gets made on the 6th, they'll accommodate that. So when we talk about meeting, it's gotta be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week.
So it's gonna be quick. It's not gonna be drawn out.
You guys,
And that's what we want. We want to answer.
that's what we're suggesting. We're not suggesting draw this out and we put it on a back table. You're going to commit to a meeting. We're going to commit to a meeting. We're going to commit that we're going to work together.
Monday or Wednesday are the days I can do it too.
Monday,
Monday or Wednesday.
what time works for you all?
Can somebody look at our meeting schedule, our commission?
Commission, I'm checking on it. maybe.
Can you look at the commission chamber?
Now, and two, you guys will, this meeting will be an informative meeting. It'll be a meeting that you guys will come out with a thing. The actual decision will be made in public. The final decision will be made in public by the commission in front of the people of Fayette County. This will just give us the guidelines of where we want to go and where we're going to satisfy everyone.
So Monday, there are, mental hygiene hearings in the morning. Planning Commission is supposed to meet at 2, and they meet until 3.
Well,
So,
maybe Judge Fast will volunteer his jury room for.
Mental hygiene? Okay.
Mental hygiene, that would, yes, and we can move.
Yeah, or they can use magistrate court also. Do that. That's, well, no,
Thank
not
you.
Monday morning, they can't, because they have a regular magistrate court. So what time are we?
You tell me,
You wanna
whatever.
try for 9?
That's fine.
That'll give us time.
Okay. Is there anything else to bring before the body?
Well, we gotta get that motion. So motion to postpone that decision to February 6th.
Motion to postpone this decision until February 6th, where we have more information to make a proper decision.
Yeah, I made a motion.
Okay, I'll second. We have properly moved in the second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else to bring before the body?
The health department testing,
Oh, yeah, did we get an answer on that?
I'm sorry, my brain is just starting to deteriorate. Yeah, yeah, I'll just move to postpone that item to the 6th.
I'll
Pending any
second that.
restrictions on, to identify any restrictions on the funding.
I'll second. Have a motion properly moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else for the body? Okay. All right,
I'm make a motion, we adjourn.
thank you.
Second.